Hi guys, so just a short video on shock leaders. So firstly, what is a shock leader? A shock leader is a thicker piece of line that is attached to your main line, which is used for absorbing shock and abrasion. Why use a shock leader? Shock leaders are used for a number of reasons. They are used for casting distance, so they absorb the shock when producing a larger cast. Because of that weight that's on there, it puts a lot of strain on your line, and thinner lines around 20-30 pound are prone to snapping. So the thicker line is there to absorb that shock to be able to make sure that you can cast safely without snapping off. Landing a big fish. They're also there so that when you bring in a bigger fish and it starts to get into the surf and the weight of the fish is out of the water, this can put a lot of strain on your line and is likely to cause it to snap in some of the thinner lines. So the shock leader is there so that you get a number of turns onto your reel. That means that you've got a better chance of landing that fish. Abrasion protection. So shock leaders, what they do, because they are a thicker line, they stop the abrasion that can come from the fish or from being dragged around on the sea floor fighting a fish on your main line. So because these thicker lines have a much thicker diameter, they're far more abrasion resistant than your main line, which gives you a better chance of landing that fish. What type of shock leaders are there? So there's two main types of shock leaders. There's tapered shock leaders and there's standard shock leaders. The tapered shock leaders, as described, is they go from a thinner diameter, which is more close to your main line, making a much smaller knot, out to the thicker diameter of a standard shock leader. The standard shock leaders are just a thick line all the way through. How long should shock leaders be? Well, normally they should be a few turns on your reel all the way through all the eyes to the drop of the rig. The reason for this is so that you can cast safely and be able to land a fish using the strength of that shock leader and not the strength of your main line. What type of knots should you use? Well, there's many different types of knots, but some of the simpler ones that I think are really easy for you to use are a standard blood knot. This is brilliant for tapered line, but isn't so good when you're using standard shock leader. For standard shock leader, I like the spider's hitch. You can check out my videos on how to do both of these knots. Well, thanks for watching guys, and if you'd like more tips, tricks and fishing adventures, please don't forget to like and subscribe.